We'd like to call the special village board meeting of Thursday, November 13th, 2025 to order. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Absolutely. Trustee Viacon?
Here.
Trustee Matrasco?
Here.
Trustee Meritato?
Here.
Trustee Light?
Here.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Here.
Trustee Schmidt?
Here.
Madam Mayor Gianelli?
Here. Please stand and join me in the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public discussion of agenda items. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address this board on an agenda item only? New business. Discussion and approval of fiscal year 2025-2026 mid-year budget. Ms. Cravens? Oh, there she is.
Andrea's going to present to you the mid-budget review. For those that have been through these before, it's a little bit different of a format, but all the information that you're used to seeing will be in there. Trust me, it'll be in there. What Andrea has done with this budget review is actually taking the time to tie our budget to our strategic plan and to use all the goals from our strategic plan and tie them into the budget and the funding for the items that you're going to see in front of you today. So it's a little bit different, but at the end of it, it's all going. It'll be this very similar. But the beginning of it, she's going to give you a very thorough review of our new finance system because it's different, which has caused the format to be different, and how the new language of our budget reflects on the old language of the old software system. So with that, Andrea, it's all yours.
Thank you. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of the village staff for their efforts. I'd like to thank the department heads, their managers, and support staff whose leadership.
I'm sorry, can you just maybe take one step forward or pull that a little closer?
How's that?
Better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whose leadership and organization was the biggest component in preparing the mid-year budget. I want to thank my team. Darcy and Susan are here for your support and patience. I want to thank Doug for his leadership, support, and advice. And thank you, board, for the opportunity to present tonight. This presentation would not be possible without all the hard work from everyone involved. So let's get started. Like Doug said, I'll be talking about the strategic plan throughout tonight's presentation, and I'll touch on the village's progress in addressing priorities and goals set out by the strategic plan, noting each department's accomplishments made so far this year. And also, as Doug promised, there'll be a bit of an education piece and a little bit of background as we progress throughout the presentation. Tonight's presentation is going to look a little bit different than years past because finance has been working so hard to modernize our financial systems and processes. But I promise I will get into the nitty-gritty changes within each department division. So here we have our first update to the strategic plan. The strategic priority is fiscal stewardship, and the short-term complex is to implement the financial management software system. And at this time, we are about 50% through this implementation with the general ledger, accounts payable, purchasing, and the vendor portal live. We still have a few modules to go with the open finance transparency portal, utility billing, and the customer portal. So with all our changes in accounting and Naviline, we had a whopping, thank you. Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you. 47 original funds. We had 32 active as of the end of last fiscal year, and in Tyler, we've pared it down to 17. In Naviline, we had 11,000 accounts to choose from to record transactions. You can imagine how mind-boggling that was. In Tyler, we've pared it down to 1,921, and with a new concept called projects, that's an additional 136. So there's lots of reasons we had to do this. You can see some of the merits at the bottom of the screen. But really, the finance department was set up for a much smaller operation. And as things progressed, accounting standards changed, the town grew, we need to adapt and do more with less. Another reason is to align with best practices, get us into the 2020s. And the biggest reason of all is because our auditors told us to do it.
Yeah, good reason.
Yeah, very good reason. So what are all the goals of doing these changes? Number one, make the auditors happy. Standardize how budgets and transactions occur throughout the organization and cut out a lot of duplicate work. And I'll give you an example. An accounts payable, from the time you got the invoice until it hit the general ledger accounts, took about 2 weeks. Now it happens within minutes. So big change. And what that gets us is we're more efficient, we get data back faster, and we're able to make better informed decisions. So tonight, some of the other big changes you'll see are that we no longer record capital projects within the operating budgets. Capital projects are in the capital projects fund. Department expenses are in the proper departments. We've gotten rid of central services. So these changes are going to help people understand our financial reports better, tell us how efficient we're operating, and help staff develop fee schedules and assess how each department division needs tax support and how much. Okay. So one of the funds that was consolidated, I'm sorry, several of the funds. The general fund, if you're wondering which slide we're on, it's the third one. The general fund took in, let me get the right clicker. Recreation, ESDA, handicap recreation, Founder's Day, and insurance. So many of these funds were subsets of the general fund. Some of the funds didn't even qualify to be a separate fund anymore. So right now, recreation is a department within the general fund. ESDA is a division within the police department. Handicap recreation is just 2 line items within the recreation budget. Founder's Day is under special events, and insurance is under village administration. We also consolidated our capital improvement funds. We had 3. We have 1 now, and in there is the old infrastructure fund, 212, parks developments, and the regular capital improvements fund. And we track streets and parks resources through that new concept called project codes. Moving on to the...
Excuse me,
Yeah.
I do have one question.
Yeah,
These funds, when we're moving the money from one fund to another fund, are we check that money is being raised in that one fund
it is, but
instead
it's...
of being separated?
So it's still separated, so money we get for property taxes and the local fuel tax for streets goes into the streets project code, so that streets gets to use streets money and parks doesn't take anything from it. Good
Okay,
question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So with these consolidations, we eliminated a lot of transfers between funds. Before we were transferring money back and forth. Didn't make a lot of sense. So with the consolidation, we eliminated 2.7 million in transfers, and that's some of the biggest adjustments that we have for this mid-year budget. So just to recap, our government funds only have our operating transactions. Capital projects are not in the general fund anymore, they're in capital projects. We record all our expenses of a department division accordingly. And to recap the reasons why, the auditors made us do it, makes our operations more efficient. We understand the tax resources for each department division, and it's easier to make better informed decisions. Any questions? All right. You guys are doing great. So we are going to start with a very high-level overview. We call this the government-wide. And we're going to drill down from here as we progress through the slides. So tonight, all the funds are represented except for Giving Glendale Heights and the police pension. And the reason they're not in this mid-year adjustment is because they have separate boards who put together their budgets.
Can you, I'm sorry, Andrea, they're not represented, why? I couldn't make out the last part.
They have separate boards who
Separate
prepare.
boards, got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. When we changed the accounting system, we put together a descriptive chart of accounts. And you can't see it here, but I promise you it is in your packet. And with that descriptive chart of accounts, we defined what each account means and what each category each account belongs to. So for revenues, on the right-hand side of the slide, you have taxes, which is everyone's favorite. Property taxes, sales tax, all that good stuff. You have charges for services, and that's when the village provides a service and we get money in exchange, like we do for the high school resource officer. Licenses and registrations, this is kind of a broad category, less restrictive than a permit, but it basically gives you permission to operate or act in a certain way. And an example of that is a contractor license or a vehicle sticker license. Permits are more restrictive. They generally have a safety component and an inspection. So an example of that would obviously be a building permit. Investment earnings are my favorite. It's interest, dividends, and then those market adjustments for realized and unrealized gains. Moving down the line, because I can't see that far. We have fines and forfeitures, and those are parking tickets. Transfers are the support from one fund to another to prevent a negative fund balance. And then we have miscellaneous, which is really all other fees that you can't fit into another category, and there's not that many. An example would be the carnival payouts. We also get some earnings from our bank to offset our expenses for our checking account.
I got another quick question. All these categories,
Yes.
if one category is short of money, do we take money out from another category?
No,
To
we really
cover
don't.
these?
We want to budget by the category. So there's times when we do have to do a transfer, but that's going to come through as an adjustment, a mid-year or a end-of-year budget adjustment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So drilling down a little bit more into the categories. One clicker. Taxes had an increase. 75,000 went up for real estate transfer tax. Food and beverage is up 25,000. Sales tax is up 150,000. Video gaming is up 80. The TIF districts and incremental taxes, those are the property taxes, are up 107,000.
Andrea, can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah,
Are you, I don't know that we have that exact slide, so are you on?
Oh, we do.
It's right here.
We do. It's in the back of it. It's on the.
Los Santo, but I do have a question.
yeah.
When you say real estate transfer tax or something, I heard you say it is up. By that you mean the taxing the volume? That's, is that what that means?
The dollar amount is up. We had some big property sales that we did not
Oh,
anticipate.
so the revenue in is up?
Yes, exactly.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Exactly. Good question, though. We do have a decline in the cannabis sales tax, and we have an adjustment of negative 85,000 for the cable franchise fees, which is really not unexpected because it seems like everyone's going to streaming. In charges for services, we have an increase in metered water revenue, which is going to be offset by an expense increase. Wastewater treatment had some discharge fees collected. Then recreation, we have the Belle of the Ball golf, which is up 100 grand for green fees and food and beverage sales. And then recreation program programming, we have some adjustments to general programs, 25,000 more for soccer.
I have a question. What is taught general program? What is that program is for?
They're just different programs that we within the recreation department are dedicated towards tots. So I mean, we have different programs that are at different levels. So we have top programs, we have youth programs, we have teen
Like
programs.
1 to 3 year olds.
Yeah, younger.
Toddlers.
Yes.
So I do have a question as well, as you go further down. I see a negative in preschool and then a negative in PATH and day camp. Is that because we have less enrollment?
So in preschool, less enrollment, our past summer camp was down a little bit as well, and day camp, those two are together. The past school, we had an original number. It took us a little while to bring some extra people on due to the schools. They have to be signed up at a certain time before, so they can set up their buses and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've got everybody off the wait list now, but that also brought our numbers down.
Thank you. A senior center is down 38,000 because we decreased the number of trips that are offered, and that's offset by an expense reduction.
Before you go any further,
Yep.
aquatics, is that, we made 2,700 with the pool, is that what that represents?
Yes,
Total.
Okay.
yes.
So these are increases or decreases from what was originally budgeted in the original budget from May, right? So the numbers you're seeing, the negative 38,000 for senior trips, because we budgeted, I don't know the number off the
It's
top of my head.
90,000, I think.
90?
Yeah.
So, we budgeted 100, but we're only bringing in 72 because we canceled a couple trips,
Got it.
right? So this is just a reduction of what that revenue expectation was back in May.
So, just to make sure I understand, the plus 25.5 for soccer programs means we brought in $25,000 of more revenue than we expected to.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. License and registrations is down 25,000 for vehicle sticker licenses. Permits, we changed the RTI program a bit, so that is down 100,000.
So real quick with the license and registration, the vehicle sticker, are we gonna see more decline now that we're changing over to be?
No, that's what I'm projecting us to bring in, a $25,000 reduction. And as we go through the slides, you'll see exactly what we originally budgeted, where we're at year to date, and the final number that we expect to come in at 430.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Investment earnings are up quite a bit. We're bringing in an extra $455,000 between the general fund and environmental, namely because we have some brokered CDs that are maturing at the end of the year. Grants are down 29,000 because of changes with the Northeast DuPage Family Youth Services Program. Court fines are down 100,000. And then the transfers or the support the general fund gives to other funds, that's down 2.7 million.
So court fines being down 100,000, is that a bad thing? Or is that good?
Well, it depends on your version of bad or good.
Right, it's, yeah.
Were we expecting more and we didn't end up paying as much out, so
So-
that would be good?
So a couple answers to that. Chief Pappas went through something a couple weeks ago about traffic tickets, and traffic citations are up significantly for year over year. However, the largest revenue source of these fines is from our truck enforcement program. So last year, our truck enforcement program, we had 2 officers that ran full-time doing truck enforcement. They wrote a lot of citations for overweight trucks, and overweight trucks have very large fines. This year, 2 officers, still same 2 officers, same full-time. As you all know, we've had a lot of hiring in the police department. Those officers are actual FTOs as well. So they're field training officers. So when they're doing field training of new police officers, they're not doing 8 hours a day of traffic enforcement, right? Also, when you have a really heavy enforcement, people change their habits. And that's the whole goal of the heavy enforcement, is to have people change their habits. So trucks are no longer as much driving through town with overweight. They know that Bloomingdale Bridge is got a 20-ton load limit on it now because of whatever reasons. and they're not driving over the bridge anymore as loaded semis. So we expect that to be down. And also the judges realize how big those fines are. I mean, these fines are $10,000 to $20,000, and they don't feel comfortable issuing those big of fines, and they're actually reducing the fines as they're defined by statute of what they're supposed to be. So this isn't unexpected, but it's actually, if the revenue's down for all those reasons, but if it's down mostly because trucks aren't driving overweight in Glendale Heights, that's a good thing.
Yeah, okay.
Good questions. This next slide you're going to see is taxes. And here you have the first example of what we originally budgeted, where we're at year to date, what we're proposing for mid-year, and the difference in the changes. Any questions before we move on to expenses? So we're going to start again at the big high-level overview for expenses. And we have our categories. First one is personnel, which is salaries, wages, stipends, health insurance, all that stuff. Contractual services, those are expenses the village incurs for hiring outside agencies to do work like landscaping or sewer lining, janitorial services, and audits. Commodities are those day-to-day items we use, like copy paper, small hand tools, furnace filters, keyboards. Miscellaneous expense, it's really not otherwise defined, but we only have one account that is in miscellaneous expense, and that's a bad debt expense. Bad debt expense is when somebody doesn't pay their bill and we have to write it off. Debt service, that's our principal and interest expense on our bonds, the IEPA loans, and our leases. Capital outlay are the improvements to parks, parking lots, streets, vehicle purchases on leases. And then we have our transfers, and that's the support the general fund gives to other funds, which we've now eliminated.
Andrew, I'm sorry, can we go back one slide? Under the miscellaneous expense related to what you described as bad debt,
Yes,
on the matrix, it says original budget 10K, but nothing year to date. Does that just mean that we haven't had to adjust off the bad debt because,
yes,
okay,
yeah, that's exactly the reason why.
okay.
So hopefully it comes in lower, but we'll be conservative and say that it's going to stay at 10,000.
Okay.
The next slide is very small, but don't worry, you have a copy of it in your packet. And these are all the carry forward items that we started last year that we were unable to complete, and they're carried forward to this year. It's mostly capital improvement items and some contracted services like prescient or janitorial services. And this is the biggest change in the budget is due to bringing forward the encumbrances from last year. So drilling down into our expenses by their categories.
Andrew, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Can you go back and, for the good of the community and the good of the board, just kind of speak high level of what an encumbrance is?
Yes, so the encumbrance is an obligation that the village has entered into to promise to pay an individual for services or goods that they provide. We start those typically in the prior year, and we know those contracts are going to extend into the next fiscal year. So we've already entered into an agreement with these particular vendors, and we can't cancel it just because the project's not done. So we carry it forward into the next year.
Thank you.
Of course. So drilling down into our changes for expenses by the categories, we have for contractual services, that's when we contract someone else to provide services or goods to us. $152,000 increase for the Axon contract with which the board recently approved. We have an increase in engineering, and that's mostly for those contracts we signed last year that are rolling forward into this year. We have a new expense of $155,500 that we're proposing for the design and construction of the Highland Avenue Water Main and Road project. Now, that is a project that was slated for next fiscal year, but because we have the resources available now, it makes much more sense to start it. We have an additional $30,000 for the construction engineering of the Burdette West Gravity Sewer project, and an additional $45,000 for road program for road cores and environmental testing.
So quick question, if we're gonna bring in the work this year, which based off of having resources, and it was supposed to be in 27, where does this actually fall into the budget? Do we already have the money in the budget, we're just using
We have,
reserves?
so we have the funds available from offsetting other expenses. There is just a slight increase in the overall expenses. A lot of it's due to the transfers that we've reduced. So operationally, it makes more sense to start this project now. It's more efficient, so we have the money available. We'd like to do it this year.
Okay.
We have an adjustment in our TIF fund for redevelopment payments. A redevelopment payment is a contractual obligation we have to the developers who went into our TIF districts and improved them. So property taxes offset that expense.
Andrew, I'm sorry, where, am I still on the right side?
We're under contractual services. About halfway
I
down.
got you, okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. We have increases in encumbrances for the TIF 1 East Branch Tributary Monitoring and Maintenance, and encumbrances rolled forward for water meter testing and for wastewater sludge hauling. Some of our big decreases are in the TIFs for the redevelopment agreement payments. Property taxes were lower than expected. And then we have an adjustment to the Belgios contract, and that is offset by a revenue decrease.
Hey, excuse me, I got a question.
Yes,
Doug, we're doing 850, is that for the Highland project, right?
850s for the road.
And then 500,000 for the water in
For
the
the
sewer?
water main.
For the water main? Okay, thank you.
commodities, we have some changes, 93,000 more for Lake Michigan Water. That's also offset by revenue. The police reserve accounts spent a little bit more for veterinary services and rifle purchases. And there is a encumbrance rolled over for streets for purchase of concrete mix. Our decreases are the senior center trips by 38,000, and recreation is not purchasing 2 treadmills this year to offset an increase for the bleacher project. In debt service, there's a net $50,000 decrease in the environmental services fund because of accounting principles.
I'm sorry, because of what?
Accounting principles?
Oh, thank you.
Yes, so in an environmental services fund, you don't record the principal payment as an expense, it's a liability on the books, so it's really just a cash transaction. Capital outlay is where you're gonna see that fiscal year 27 project for the Highland Avenue Road project and the water main. More encumbrances rolled forward. $1.3 million for the Burdette West Gravity Sewer project. $10,000 emergency repair to the treatment plant's RAS pump. And then the $60,000 board-approved Tyler work order system. Our transfers to and from, we've talked about a little bit already, but there is a decline in transfers to capital projects for SALT. SALT doesn't qualify as a as a capital item. It's an operating expense, so that just stays within the general fund. Any questions? Okay. We're going to get into the departmental items. First, we have legislative, and that's you guys. Previously, the village board and the clerk were separate divisions, but they are all together now. And you have a strategic plan update. The priority is communication, engagement, and governance. And the short-term routine is to enhance village communication and develop an all-inclusive engagement and communication plan for the village. And what's been accomplished so far this year, or that we're requesting, is funding to have MS teams for the village board and executive leadership. The next one is to explore establishing advisory and coordinating committees, and you have formed the ordinance committee and set out to start the capital vision committee. Here you have your.
So I have a quick question
Yeah.
about, you say procure MS Teams, is that the software which we use for our meeting?
No.
Oh, no.
So currently, the versions of Office that we use doesn't allow us to use Microsoft Teams. That's what everybody says.
Yeah,
So,
it should comes with it, yeah.
well,
It does not, in fact.
so we're working on that, right? Because our systems are set up a little bit differently. So we're working on trying to get the system separated so we can have how we purchase our Office products today and also have Microsoft Teams. Jake and his team from Prescient are working hard and trying to figure that out on the back end of whatever they do in the computer world to do that. But hopefully soon we'll be able to have that.
So you're telling me that MS Teams is not the part of the Office software which we have, like, we have.
No, because we buy licenses for Outlook and Word and PowerPoint, but they're licenses for us, we're not on Microsoft 365,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So in order to get the Teams, you gotta have 365.
365, yes.
The behind the scenes part of 365 is different than what we have running Office that we purchase. Now, the licensing that we purchase from Office, from Microsoft, is significantly cheaper than having 365, which is why we're in that plan, right? But we're looking to move many of our staff to 365. Jake and Prescient just have to figure out how to do that on the network. Did I say that right, Jake? Generally? Okay. We've had enough meetings about it, I'm trying to get the understanding of it.
So the next slide is the original budget year-to-date and what we're requesting for mid-year for your department. So those big fiscal highlight changes are just a small increase for the liquor license revenue because of cost of living. We added a part-time person in your department, but that was offset by a reduction of a part-time person in administration. And then we have the $2,000 for Microsoft Teams. Up next, we have administration, and their update to the strategic plan is organizational development and performance, with the short-term complex goal of fully funding training for all new staff and meet proper staffing levels. And admin has charged department heads and their second command staffs to critically review our current and future state service delivery needs, develop restructuring plans, and perform a cost-benefit analysis of a potential ERI offering through IMRF. The goal of this exercise is to reduce personnel costs and increase productivity while giving the residents a better experience. So if this does come to, or if it suggests it will bear fruit, we will be bringing this to the village board. The next slide is the detail for the original year-to-date, mid-year, and the difference. Personnel is down 119,000 for vacancies. Unemployment is up 2,000 for actual claims. Workers' comp, we're increasing that 73,000 just to the village's maximum exposure, which is just good budgeting concepts. And then we have the $20,000 increase for the NIU strategic plan updates and a small update in operating supplies for office chairs and just general supplies. We have HR, Public Relations, and IS next. Their personnel expenses increased $26,000 for position changes and an IS summer intern. We had some contractual changes and encumbrances rolled forward from last year. The contractual change is the Marco Technology contract that the board just approved. And the next change is just an additional $2,900 for supplies that IS needs. Next, we have the best department in the village. And I know Chief would disagree, but he's wrong. So ours is fiscal stewardship and implement the new software. And we've already talked about what we've been working on. We have bids, cash receipting, utility billing, and open finance coming up within the next 1 to 2 fiscal years. Our short-term routine is to monitor and strengthen the village's financial stability. And we've been doing that by evaluating ways to reduce those credit card discount fees and working with Wintrust to grow our dividend and interest income. Our long-term complex, we assisted with the creation of the Capital Vision Committee, which the board appreciate you adopting, and you're now accepting applications for citizen appointees.
Andrea, for the good of the board and the good of the community, can you tell us a little bit about maybe starting with just defining complex, right? And how that relationship between a short-term complex versus a long-term. I think we loosely understand it, but just the language is more financial than kind of standard.
Sure. So in the strategic plan, you have priorities, and within those priorities, the prior village board has identified short-term and long-term complexes and short-term and long-term routines. The routines are items we could be working on continuously for improvement. The complexes are more of a broader range of goals you want to attain. And then, of course, the priorities are the overreaching areas that we want to focus on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, quick question, the credit card charges that we're talking about. Where do we actually have the most credit card charges coming from? Is it within the sports hub?
No, it's actually from environmental services for people paying their water sewer bill. So.
Because they can pay it by credit card.
You can pay by credit card. So Susan and I have been working on getting information together to see how we can reduce the fees, but that we'll be bringing that to you later on in the year.
Okay.
So in finance, our biggest change is to interest earnings, up 400,000, and miscellaneous revenues are up 45,000. Overall, personnel is down 3,300, and we have some adjustments in accounting and audit services because we contracted with Lauterbach and Amen for a GASB pronouncement, which is an accounting change, and software as a service with the extension of the Central Square contract.
Andrew, quick question.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous revenues up 45,000.
Yes.
What is that from?
So we have, our bank pays us earnings that offset our expenses in our checking account, so that's where we book those. So you'll see that in there. There's some other stuff, overshorts, they're pretty minor, that falls into there, so.
Okay.
Good question. Community development, Jason's only been here for a short amount of time, but he has already worked to update our building codes. And within their budget, they have some changes that we've already talked about. Building permits are down for the RTI inspection. Charges for services are up 24,000. Prologis has a zoning entitlement, which increased to 13,000. Personnel's down 55,000 because of vacancies. And contractual services are up 6,100, but that's attributable to some contract work we had with Demos Property, which they're going to reimburse us for. Inspection services is relatively flat. They have a small increase for the health insurance opt-out stipend and some small increases for operating supplies because of new employees. Police department, they've been pretty busy with their strategic plan. They've been working on training new staff and meeting proper staffing levels. They've met their CALIA accreditation again this year, and they hired 3 more officers. Their short-term routine goal to identify and develop training opportunities. They have that really cool Milo room. If you haven't seen it, go on and stop by. And then they've paired up new instructors with their veteran instructors to provide better training. The next slide is police administration's year-to-date and their request. We talked about that $100,000 revision for court fines. Grants we talked about, down due to NetFest. Charges for services are up. 22,000, I'm sorry, an increase in charges for services revenue. Up 22,000 for police special programs for those items we already talked about, and District 87 charges. Miscellaneous income is up 16,000 because Darcy traded in some lease vehicles. And then we have the NetFest changes.
Do we have in the police administration the new contract?
The Axon?
Yeah, is that in this?
Yes, it's in patrol.
Oh,
Which
got
is
it,
our-
okay.
Yep, that's
Got
really the biggest change for patrol. They had a personnel changes due to vacancies of 165,000, and then the Axon body camera. Support in ESDA, the biggest changes there are we have a vacancy in ESDA. So that's a decline of 48,000. And then they had to increase contractual services for tornado siren maintenance and some alarm system upgrades. Public Works,
Andrea, before we move on,
yeah.
patrol and investigations and support in ESDA. The other slides had either like highlighted in yellow a net budget increase or a net budget decrease, but those 2 slides don't have a highlighted in yellow section.
So I had those in there for when you have a revenue offsetting a expense. So with these, it's just expenditure changes. So I took that yellow line out to basically to reduce confusion so you could see what the net changes in the operating are for a department.
Okay, thank you.
Public Works, they've developed their 10-year road program, and they've continued investments in infrastructure improvements. And we've talked about the Highland Avenue Road construction project that we'd like to front load this year. They've improved pedestrian safety with the Glenside Middle School walking path and the sidewalk program, and they've continued their investment in stormwater management. The next slide is all the improvements they've been working on so far this year. And then in capital improvements, we have the $850,000 for the Highland Avenue Road program. The encumbrances we rolled forward of $1 million, and then some decreases for the Mill Pond culverts, the Tyler work order system purchase, the increase for the bleachers, and an additional $8,000 for the Cameron Park basketball court resurfacing. In Public Works Administration, we just had one change to stream bank maintenance. and then the encumbrance for the GIS system. Streets and fleets, they have the sale of surplus vehicles, which is an increase of 30,000. Personnel services are up 82,000 for the additional line level worker. And contractual services include encumbrances rolled forward from last year.
Good question.
Mhm.
The line item here for additional line level workers, is that the gentleman, Doug, that we had with the electronics?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Facilities and parks, they have personnel changes of 25,000 for overtime and snow command stipends. An additional 20,000 for electricity, and they're also undertaking an HVAC assessment.
I'm sorry, I just have a quick question. Doug, the capital improvement, did we have Anthony's Place in that one or?
So this is current budget, not future.
Oh, not done, okay, got it.
Leisure services, they have been working on creating diverse and unique recreational activities. And from what Keith has said, that Eric has really been connecting with the youth in the community because all of his programs are up. And Jessica is working on researching new offerings for special events. In administration, they have an increase for electricity, but a decrease in commodities for those treadmills we talked about. Special events is up 25 grand in revenues for the booth rentals for Fest. Recreation is down a bit for net programming changes, but we're going to keep the budgets where it is for programming because they're working on coming up with new programs and events, so we want to keep that intact for mid-year. Golf is up 100,000 for green fees and food and beverage, and then their contractual services are down because of LGOs.
Just so the new board knows, Belgio's is our catering company at the golf course, and there's no expense related unless they actually have a banquet, so.
And this money was actually, in the past, we used to take in revenue for them and then pay them out because it was easier than getting 2 checks. This year it actually went, so we only had one company that wanted to do it that way, so that's why that's actually down. It didn't change the numbers any, we just don't have to pay them for revenue that we were taking in for them.
We're almost done, I promise. Senior Center, we had the changes in programming for the trips, and then the salon was temporarily closed for some staffing. And now we're at environmental. And Jeff's crew has been pretty busy. This is a list of all the projects that they've been working on so far this year. Some are completed, some are in progress. In administration, they have investment earnings up of $55,000. They had $2 million sitting in a grant fund at Wintrust that wasn't earning interest, so we invested that. And those brokered CDs should come due in April. And then they had an increase in capital outlay for the Tyler implementation. Water services has some gains in tap-on fees and the metered water revenue. Infrastructure maintenance is up because of encumbrances rolled forward along with engineering. The dumping fees and other professional services and capital outlay. Sanitary sewers, same situation, tap-in fees are up. There was a small adjustment to personnel services, but that's offset by the staffing changes in the general fund. And then we have our encumbrances rolled forward for engineering, contractual services, and that decrease in debt service because of the reallocation. We also have the new project for the West Burdett Sanitary Sewer Project of $1.3 million. In wastewater treatment, discharge fees are up. We had encumbrances rolled forward, especially for engineering and other professional services for sludge hauling. And electricity is up $50,000 because the new equipment requires more power. So altogether, our fund balances and our reconciliations, it's really a $4 million increase, but that's mostly due to the transfers. 2 new projects, the Highland Avenue project and the West Burdette's gravity sanitary sewer, along with some cost savings throughout the village. So,
Quick question.
Yeah.
How is the health of our environmental fund itself?
Right now, there's about 8 million in the bank, so very healthy.
That's a lot better than it was before.
Yes.
That was bad. All right,
Yes,
perfect, thank you.
so, and that's complete, that's all from Bill Polling's work, so, yeah, he did great.
So Andrew, just also explain before we end, when we encumber these things moving forward, the money rolls with it from the prior year.
It does, so all the projects, the contracts that the board agreed to last year, those are moved forward into this year so that we can complete those projects and carry out the services.
So it's not like all this money is using for those encumbrances, that money that was allocated 24, 22, 23, 24, 25 moves forward with that project.
Andrea,
Yes,
if our residents want to gouge their eyes out, is this available online for them?
it is,
Thank you.
it is. So if there's no other questions or comments, I'd like to make a request to the board to make a motion to approve the mid-year budget.
I just wanna say that, you and your staff did a great job.
Thank you, that means a
Salute.
lot.
This is all new to
It's
us,
not me, it's everyone else.
Thank you for bringing it together.
and,
Thank you so much.
you did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for answering all my questions.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you, Andrea. Is there a motion to
Adjourn.
approve, not adjourn? Approve fiscal
I'm
year
sorry,
2025,
Pat.
Too fast there.
2026 mid-year budget.
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Siddiqui.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Matrasco. Board, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Yes.
Trustee Light?
Yes.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
Trustee Matrasco?
Yes.
Trustee Viacon?
Yes.
Motion to approve fiscal year 2025, 2026 mid-year budget is approved. Public discussion of agenda items. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address this board on an agenda item only? Is there a motion to adjourn, board?
Motion to adjourn.
Trustee Siddiqui, Schmidt, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Viacon. Call the roll, please, clerk.
Trustee Viacon?
Yes.
Trustee Matrasco?
Yes.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
Trustee Light?
Yes.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.